Hi players, bonjour from Paris, my name is Asaf and welcome to my channel Easy Board Games. Today I'm going to show how to play Ultramassive that was designed by Greenberg and Jacob Phillips and was published by Unknown Studio. This game arrives to Kickstarter at the beginning of October 2024. I'm going to leave a link down below, feel free to check it out. And as always, if you learn something new or saw something that you like, consider subscribing to the channel or just liking and commenting on the video. Ready to see how it goes? Let's go to setup. Alright guys, so let's start with the player setup, and since this is going to be a two-player how to play, each player is going to take one of these player boards, then they're going to take 4 of these wormhole markers and they're going to place them 2 on each channel. We have over here the blue channel and the pink channel. Now basically you can place these 2 wherever you want on the channel, but they recommend that if this is one of your first games, one wormhole will go on number 1 and the other one will go number 7, which is exactly what we did also for the blue channel and for the other player. Then each player is going to take all the discs in their color, and the first one they're going to place right over here on this track on number 4. This is the main resource that we have in this game, and we're going to talk about it a little bit later. Then each player is going to take 10 of these markers that we can see right over here. Those markers are going to help us to track which actions we have already performed, and also we're going to take the 4 core anomalies, we're going to give them a good shuffle, and then we're going to draw 2 of them randomly, of course, and the other 2 we can put back in the box. The last things that we're going to take are, first of all, 1 player aid, and also these 2 black holes that are going to represent when we're passing to another threshold. Right over here we have the stellar, and this is going to represent when we have passed to a supermassive black hole. Then we're going to move over here to the score pad, what we can see over here with the solar mass, and here we're going to place a few more discs. So first of all, these 2 discs to represent how many solar mass points you have. Those are our victory points in this game. Then we're going to place the markers on the round track, and then we're going to place 2 discs, one in the resource draft number 1 and another one in the resource draft number 2. Next to this board we can create the supply, but you can of course place it wherever you want, of the different matter and antimatter that we have. Right over here we have the blue giant star, then we have the super giant star. Over here we have something that I'm not so sure I'm going to pronounce well, that is the primordial black hole. And over here with the triangles we have a major antimatter right over here, and on the other side we have the minor antimatter. Then on the other side of the board we have the anomaly cards divided into 3 categories. The first one is orbit, then matter, and also siphon. And in each one of these categories we have 5 types of cards. We have orbit 1, 2A, 2B, 3 and 4, and the same for matter and for siphon. The last thing that we'll need to do is to shuffle these action cards that we have over here. We have 50 cards, and from this deck each player is going to take 3 cards randomly, of course. And with that guys, we're ready to start. In Ultramassive, each player is going to play pretty much a black hole, and we're going to try to have as much as matter and antimatter sucked into this black hole, and with that we're going to receive the solar mass points. Ultramassive is a game that lasts 6 rounds, and in each round we're first going to have a resource draft that we're going to see soon enough. Then we're going to receive these resources, and then each player is going to take their turn doing something that is called discovery. That is one of the anomalies that we can see right over here. Then the action phase, where we'll be able to play our action cards, move matter and antimatter with the help of the wormholes, and some other things and actions that we'll be able to take with the anomaly cards, and we're going to see it of course a little bit later. After that we're going to draw our hand back into 3 cards, and then we're going to finish our turn, and the next player will take their turn. During the course of the game we're going to actually make our black hole go bigger, and that is when our victory points, again the solar mass points that we have, are going to pass the threshold of 20 and 50, and by that we're going to actually make matter and antimatter go in an easier way into our black hole, and by thus scoring more victory points. And after 6 rounds the player that has the most solar mass points is going to be the winner. The first thing that we're going to have in the gameplay is the resource draft. So what we can see over here is that the blue player, since they're going to be the starting player, is going to draft one of the resources that we can see over here. We can ignore this because this is only for 4 players. And then the next player is going to draft 2 times. Why 2 times? Because in the second draft, it's actually going to be in a reversed turn order. What we're going to do is right now the blue player is going to draft this thing that we have over here. Don't worry, we're going to cover everything in just a few more minutes. Then the yellow player is going to draft this resource. And then again, it's the yellow player's turn. They're going to draft this resource. And the blue player is going to draft this one. Now, it's important to understand that first of all, we're going to draft the resources, and then the next step is going to be the gain drafted resources. So we're going to gain everything at the same time. Let's start with the blue player that we can see over here, and they decided to take matter. This is the iconography that we have over here. And if you ask yourselves, which type of matter? Well, we can see over here 2 dots. So this is the matter that they're going to take into their board, and that is the blue giant star. When you're taking matter and you need to add it into your player board, you need to decide if you would like to place it on the blue channel or on the pink channel. When you're deciding to put matter or antimatter for this case, you're going to place it for now on either number 1 of the blue channel or on number 1 of the pink channel. Later, different anomaly cards, different powers that you have are going to allow you to place these matters or antimatters in different places, but for now, it has to be on number 1 of either channel. So the blue player is going to place their matter right over here on number 1 of the pink channel. Then the yellow player is going to take their antimatter. So when they're taking antimatter, the player who drafted this resource is going to take the major antimatter, that is the triangle with the 4 dots that we can see on it. And of course, again, they need to decide on which number 1 they were going to place it. Let's say that they have decided to place it right over here. But when you're drafting antimatter, while you're going to take the major antimatter, the other player has to take a minor antimatter. Now, why is it important? Because we have here a little bit of a take that element. Because when you need to place an antimatter in one of the channels, if you're going to put it with a matter, and this is also true to the course of the game, if both of them are going to find themselves in the same position, they're going to cancel each other, and both of them are going to be taken out from the player board back to the general supply. The blue player does not wish to do that, so they're going to take this minor antimatter and they're going to place it on number 1 of the blue channel. Now we're going to move over here to the next iconography thingy, and that is to orbit 1 time. What does it mean to orbit? That means that you're going to choose one of your channels, either the blue one or the pink one, and you're going to push forward all the matter and antimatter that you have right now. So the yellow player is going to orbit 1 time the blue channel, right? They don't have matter or antimatter on the pink channel by 1. So from number 1, it's going to go to number 2. The blue player decided to draft this thing that we have over here. That is the discovery track that we can see over here at the bottom of the player board, and those are considered to be discovery tokens. So when the blue player decided to take this thing, if you can pay attention, this iconography corresponds to this one right over here, then they're going to take 2 of these discovery tokens. So from 4, they're going to have now 6. After we have finished with the drafting and we have gained all the resources that we drafted, the first player is going to take their turn. So again, the blue player is the first player, just in case we forgot. So now the first step is to discover. Now with the discover, and you guessed it right, it's the same name that we have over here, we're going to some sort of purchase one of the anomaly cards that we have over here. Pay attention that even if you can afford yourself to buy more than 1 anomaly, you can buy only 1. The price of the different anomaly cards is stated right over here. So we can see that the number 1 of each anomaly type is going to cost us 2 of these discovery tokens. Now, we're not going to go over all the cards, but we are going to explain a little bit, at least the anatomy of each card. So let's start right over here with this basic matter anomaly. We can see, first of all, the name of the card, then again to which category of anomalies it belongs to. In our case, it's the matter. The cost of this anomaly, and also to which level does it correspond. This is the most basic one, so this is number 1. And over here, we can see the different effects that we have. Sometimes it's going to be an action that we'll be able to take during the game, and sometimes it's going to be a passive effect that is going to come to play when we're doing something. So just for the fun of it, let's say that the blue player has decided to go with a matter anomaly. What they're going to do is to purchase it, so it's going to cost them 2 discovery tokens, and they're going to take it into their possession. Now this card comes to effect immediately, and that means that we can already take the action that is written on it. Now that we have finished with the first step in the player turn, we're going to move to the second one, which is the action phase. Now we have a few things that we can do in the action phase, and you can do any or none of them, and in any order that you would like to take. We have to play up to 2 action cards, use an anomaly action, activate 1 or more pairs of open wormholes, and also to exchange discovery counters for solar mass. So again, you can do it in any order that you would like. Let's start explaining the playing an action card. So as you remember, we have 3 action cards that we have started the game with. Each action card has their own effect, and it corresponds, of course, to one of the different anomaly categories that we have. So again, we're not going to go over all of the cards because they're pretty straightforward, but let's at least go over the anatomy of a general card that we have. So I'm going to look at the orbit action card, so we can see, of course, the title and the art. Then we have this number right over here that corresponded to one of the things that a more advanced anomaly card in that category is going to correspond to. Again, this is something that we'll be able to see in a more advanced phase of the game. And then we're going to have the action that we'll be able to do. In our case, it's going to be orbit 3 times. Then what we can see at the bottom part of the card is an empowered action that we'll be able to perform only if we have the 3rd card from the anomaly. So right now, since we don't possess the 3rd card from the orbit anomaly type, we cannot do this thing, but we might be able to do it a little bit later. Let's go over at least these 3 action cards that we have to understand how the game works. So I'm going to continue with this orbit card that says orbit 3 times. That means that we can choose one of the channels, either the pink or the blue, and move all the matter and antimatter 1 step for each time that I'll be able to orbit. Since this is orbit 3 times, we'll be able to take one of these tokens, of course, and move it 1, 2, and 3 times. And with that, I actually finished the action. I can place the card over here, not yet in the discard pile, just to make sure that I didn't forget which card I already played. The next card that I have is called Matter, and the main action is to gain 1 supergiant star. And of course, with the iconography, we understand that it's this matter right over here. Now again, we'll be able to put it either on number 1 of the pink channel, just like this, or we'll be able to put it right over here, but then I remind you that matter and antimatter are going to negate each other, and it's going to go back to the general supply. The next card that we have is about the siphon. And first of all, it says gain 1 discovery counter. So that means that we're going to gain 1 more resource over here. And the second thing that we have is called siphon once. What does it mean to siphon? So let's go back to what we can see right over here. And the action that I will be able to do is actually correspond to which type of black hole I have right now. With the most basic black hole that we're starting with, I will be able to either receive 1 discovery token or to receive 1 matter that correspond to this iconography, that is the matter with the 2 dots on it. Later, when we're going to have the bigger black hole that is called the stellar, we'll be able to take either a matter with 3 dots on it or to receive 2 discovery tokens, and over here we'll be able to receive matter with 4 dots on it or to orbit one of our channels once. the next action that we'll be able to do is to use an anomaly action. So right over here, if I want to use this action that is once per turn, we'll be able to gain the matter with the 3 dots on it that is called the super giant star. So again, we're going to take this, we'll be able to place it on the first position in one of the channels. So again, of course, the blue player will decide to place it right over here. And then to mark that we have already used this action, we're going to place one of these markers. Then another thing that we'll be able to do is to activate one or more pairs of the open wormholes. So open wormholes, because on the other side it's a closed wormhole, that is something that is going to allow me to pass matter from one place to another. So for example, what I'll be able to do is to activate these 2 wormholes, both of them are on the pink channel, and move this matter from this position to this one, just like this. Since I can activate more than one pair, I can also do this thing right over here. There is absolutely no problem. The last thing that I'll be able to do is to exchange discovery counters to a solar mass. So for example, I can take 4 of these discovery tokens and actually advance on the score pad 4 times, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4. Now that we understand all the actions that we can do in this game, let's go back and see how the blue player could have done their turn a little bit better, in a more efficient way. So let's reset everything that we have with a turn. So we already discovered the anomaly, no problem with that, we paid the price. Then what we're going to do is to use the matter card right over here to gain 1 super giant star. So we're going to take this and I'm going to actually stock it up right over here. We said that we can pile up to the number 8, right? No problem with that. Then after we have finished this card, I'm actually going to use this action right over here to receive another super giant star. So I'm going to take it from the supply, and since if I'm going to pile over here, still we're not passing the 8 that is permitted. So right now we have 3, 3, and 2, and that is 8. Now the next thing that I would like to do is to activate 1 or more pairs of open wormholes. I'm actually going to activate only this pair of wormholes. So I'm going to pass all the matter from here right over here, 1 step away from our black hole. Then I'm going to use the second action card that I have, that is to orbit. So I don't need to orbit here 3 times. For me right now, it's enough to orbit only 1 time, but you know, just in case. And I'm going to put all of this matter right over here in the black hole. Now that we have finished orbiting, and I mean move all the matter or antimatter that I had in that channel, I'm going to take this matter, these tokens, back to the supply, and I'm going to receive the solar mass according to how many dots we had on this matter. Since again we had here 8, the blue player is going to receive now 8 solar mass, 8 victory points. And with that, guys, the blue player does not wish to convert the discovery tokens over here to the solar mass to victory points, so that means that the blue player has finished their turn. Now, these 2 cards are going to go to the discard pile, and they're left with 1 card. So the third step in each turn is to complete your hand into 3 cards. So we're going to draw 2 more cards into the hand of the blue player. And with that, guys, we kind of finished the first turn, and now the yellow player is going to take their turn. And players are going to continue taking turn after turn, and we kind of seen everything that we can do in this game, but I do want to talk a little bit more about the anomaly cards and on the black holes. In the next turn of the blue player, if they wish now to discover another anomaly, they have a few options. Either they're going to discover one of the basic anomalies that we have, either with the orbit or with the siphon, or they will be able to go already to the second step with the matter anomaly. Now pay attention that we have here 2A and 2B, and that means that you have to choose only one of them. You'll not be able to acquire 2A and then in the next round to acquire 2B. You can only have either 2A or 2B. The next thing, and I'm going to take you back to the wormhole since right now they're closed, right? When we're moving from the second to the third round, and actually from the fourth to the fifth round, we're going to open all the wormholes. So this is going to be flipped to the other side, and also on top of that, we'll be able to move them. What does it mean? It means that if I don't want anymore to have it on number 1, I can move this one to number 2, and this one to number 4, for example. You can really adjust it to your strategy in that specific game. The next thing that I would like to talk about is when I move to the threshold of a more massive black hole that we have. So let's say that now the blue player has passed to 20 victory points, solar mass. Now what is going to happen is that replacing our normal black hole, we're going to go over to Stellaris. So that basically means we're going to put it in the middle. But since I don't want, or can't more likely, to cover one of the wormholes, what we're going to do is to move the wormhole that is kind of in our way one step backwards. So right now I can place this token and there are no problems, right? It doesn't bother anything. And as you guessed it now, for the blue player, it's going to be easier to take a matter and place it into their black hole. The same one, we're going to go to 50 and we'll need to place the supermassive black hole. Again, we'll have to take this wormhole one step backwards and only then place the new supermassive black hole in the center of our galaxy. Now, one thing that we didn't mention is at the end of the player aid, we can see something that is called solar mass bonus. If we have one player that already passed to another threshold and another player that did not, at the end of the turn of the player that is a little bit behind, let's say, in our case right now, it's the yellow player, they're going to receive a certain amount of solar mass bonus. Right now, let's say it's going to be 3 points, but until you're going to receive your copy of the game, it might be something that will change. Just remember that we do have a certain bonus for the player that is not yet in the threshold of the black hole as the other player. The last thing that I would like to talk to you about is the antimatter that we have seen before. First of all, as you can see, we have these small icons on number 3 of both channels. And this means that if you're managing to bring your antimatter into this place, into this position in that channel, that will be considered like it was sucked by the black hole, and you're going to receive the bonus that you have on it. Either it's going to be 4 solar mass, 4 victory points, or if it's the minor antimatter, you're going to receive 1 discovery token. Pay attention that you have to finish your orbit when your antimatter is exactly on number 3. And that is it, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I truly appreciate it. I hope that you will learn something new or saw something that you like. Take care, and I'll see you next time.